Hello students, in these slides we'll discuss about some more stuffs in linked list, whether it is single linked list or double linked list. So we have to consider some more things when we implement linked list. So so in linked list, when we traverse or when we try to find out any particular node for for inserting at some positions, or if you want to delete some node after any node, so you have to find that node first that we have seen in the implementations. So finding node is basically is an inefficient process. So why it is inefficient process? So for example, in the implementation, we have seen that we have some for loop. That for loop runs till size of the loop in linked list, and then we call some get functions or get node functions. So that get node functions have another implementations that this is the gate method functions. That gate method function itself has another for loop. So then gate method returns some node or node reference. So you so you can see that this for loop has inside another for loop. Inside has another for loop. So basically there are two loops. So when you have two loops, so this basically create a n square, big O n square complexity. This is not an inefficient process. So you have to traverse the whole things again. Then and for each loop, then you have to traverse the another for loop. So that basically create big O n square complexity. So since this is not a efficient loop, so we need to think some efficient process. So Java library provides called Iterator. That Iterator basically, some process that keeps the track of the current positions, and it's basically avoid one loop. That loop that you need for get method, you can skip that loop if you maintain Iterator. So Iterator is some process in Java library in the linked list. Then you can use that iterator to skip skip one loop for the get method. So that iterator object, so you need to create an object of the iterator, and iterator object that start from the first element of the list, and that keep track, that keep track of each node. So whenever you need any node, then you can return that node right away. You don't need to call get method, and get method, because get method runs another for loop, so you can skip that another for loop. So the programmer can use iterator object, and they have some next method. That next method return the next node. So let's see the implementations. So if you create a iterator object that calls iter, and iter dot has next, basically check that whether they have any following node or not after your current node. If there is any following node, then it will return iter dot next, that return the next node, that return the following node. So you can see that there is only one loop. So iter object, loop, you have one loop, while loop. So until you have the following node, then you can you just run the loop, and you keep the track of the current node. When you have the current node, when you want to return the following node, you can easily return the following node iter dot next. So you can see that in this loop we didn't have get method, and get method runs another for loop, so you don't need to run another for loop. This is a big O and complexity. So this is more efficient than the previous implementations. So how do you create a iterator objects? You just we have already interface. Iterator is defined as a part of the API package Java util. You already have these interface, and using this interface you can create it iter objects using the iterator method. They have some iterator method, and using these iterator methods you can create a iterator object. that this iterator method is defined in the list interface. So this one is the things that you create a list. This is an object of the list class. Then you create a iterator object that itr by calling a list dot iterator method. Then iterator method create that iterator class, iterator object, and you can easily use that iterator object to traverse the whole thing and find the gate, find the next method. So in order to have better loop process, so you can use iterator method to create iterator object, and iterator object keep track of each node. And when you try to find any node, you just return that node using the iter.next. You don't need to call get method, and you don't need to run another loop for the get method. So the problem is that iterator method only move forward, so it doesn't have any process to move backward. So in order to move backward, so we can have another process called uh, so is and there is some other problem also. So the iterator has some limitations. It can traverse the list only forward, that I already have said. Then it also provides only remove method, not add method. So iterator object can access to the remove method. You cannot have add method. And also it start from the iterator somewhere in the first list element. So it always start from the first element. So in order to start from your some other part of the list, then you have to write your own code. So these are the limitations. So these are the three limitations. It doesn't have add method other than remove method, and it traverses only forwarding, not backwarding, and it start from the first element of the linked list. If you want to start from the some middle of the linked list, then you have to write your own code. So in order to avoid these kind of limitations, so you can have some better options that is under list iterator interface. This is an extension of iterator that overcome all those limitations. Now you can have has previous method that basically check whether there is any previous node or not, similar to the this has next, check whether there is any next node or not. So these method check whether there is any has previous there is any previous node or not. So this method probably you need when you want to traverse in a backward way. So if you want to return a previous you know uh, previous node, then you can call that previous method. And if you want to return the previous index, then you can call the previous next. And it obviously has some set method also other than remove method. So these are the extensions of a iterator objects. So this is under list iterator interface. So list iterator interface, these are the two methods to create a list iterator object. So list iterator method basically create a returns a list iterator that begins just before the first list element, and list iterator it index that basically start the process at specific index. So in the iterator object, we have seen that it always start at the beginning of the linked list, so it always start from the head. But list iterator can start from the beginning as well as from any specific index. So this if you give some index, then it will start from the specific index. And if you don't give any index, then it will start from the first element of the linked list. So these are the benefit of list iterator, that is an class that is that has the better extensions of the iterator objects. So in order to avoid some gate method, to avoid some extra for loop, you can use iterator. And you can if you want to use double linked list, then probably you can use list iterator for moving forward and backward as well. So these are the some more stuffs on the linked list. So we'll have some homework, and You have to you should try all the homework, then you will have the better idea that how to implement a linked list, so whether it is single linked list and double linked list. Thank you very much.